Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Can you tell me? Can you tell me the route? It's not about Google Maps. It's not about Google Maps.
How to get to Sesame Street? How to get to Sesame Street?
Why does Hope sound like a gangster from a 1920s movie?
He is. He be fighting.
Can you tell me?
He be fighting Dick Tracy. You know what I'm saying?
Two-Face.
He be riding. Erwin or Shyster. He be shouting out random like Jewish mafia names. You know what I mean? That's why like how Kanye told Torre how Jay-Z is like his Jewish dad.
He thought of Jay as his Jewish father.
First, Jay-Z is all of our Jewish dad, because when he speaks, we listen.
We mean that in a good way,
penalized.
ADL. We mean that in a good way, ADL.
Oh man,
some of my best friends. Some of my best friends are. No.
Can you tell me how to get? Can you tell Hov how to get? I'm
how
just
to get
matching.
to Williamsburg.
How to get to Easton Park. I'm just matching all the best kids show songs with the Hov voice. Since now I have schizophrenia from the Hov voice. That creator gave me schizophrenia from his video, so I'm like, oh, now I'm dreaming of fucking Hov like singing lullabies to me like a fucking nightmare.
You got Jiggafrenia now. You got Jiggafrenia, kid.
Jiggafrenia.
That's why I wore my Hov hair. That's why I woke up with my Hov. I woke up like this. I woke up like this.
I woke up like this.
Yeah, now
sacred. I put sacred in my locks.
Say my name. Say my name. We got to do all the Beyonce lyrics with Jay-Z voice now.
Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my bills?
My automobiles. Yeah.
Hov in the automobile. Hov in the automobile, man. Oh my
it's gonna
God.
Be a serious episode. Nah, but I got my Hov hair. I'm rocking
serious
my Hov.
episode.
It took me like 3 days of single dadding to get my Hov hair. You know what I'm saying? It took me 3
First of all, I just learned that you can steam and comb out freeform locks. Like, I did not know that was a thing that you could do. And then I called my girl and I was like, yo, RF, like, he got a new wig. And she was like, what, a new Jigga wig? I was like, yo, he had to. And she was like, but there's videos on social where they steam out like freeform locks and comb them out and do the whole shit. And I was like, but with a 56-year-old man though, like, do they really do that with them type of freeforms?
Nah, you know what he did? He
What?
He became Guyanese. he became like a 1980s Guyanese soca singer. Like he's like a Guyanese. So and that plays because that gives you longevity in the diaspora. You could be one of those.
It does.
You could be one of those. But yeah, he got the kind of wig you could comb out. Maybe he's that in the algorithm too. Cause shout outs to Fun. I see my own girl, I Love You Fun, comb out her locks, and literally the next day, Hov is out here with his locks combed out, and I was like, oh, okay. You out here on the latest tutorials, Hov? You on the latest hair tutorials, Hov? Hair tutorial Hov, you know what I'm saying?
What if that was a Hov AI hologram? What if that was this straight up Hov AI hologram introducing new Hov hairstyles? What's so funny about Hov to me is that I take him absolutely seriously as a writer, and I can't take him seriously as like a figure. As a performer, I just can't. Like, even though he's so good and he's really good at what he does, is all I can hear is How to Get to Sesame Street.
He's wondering why I didn't do it in the rehearsal. He's wondering why I didn't do it in the rehearsal. I didn't do it in the rehearsal.
You know what's a great thing about the whole impersonation is that it's almost like he's speaking back into his vocal cords. Like he's not emitting the actual sound. It's like he's trying to ingest his own voice. Like it's such a strange vocal register and so signature that it's funny, obviously, to impersonate.
The voice.
It's funny.
Remember he was calling himself the voice at one point. Like
that's wild, voice. Man. That's wild. I mean? That's wild.
The voice. Logi, shout out to Logi. I think I mentioned this before. Logi said like he's always about to cry. He sounds like he's always about to cry. Like yeah.
But not only does he sound like it, if you look at the video, the freestyle, when he delivers the most potent lines, his lip is quivering a little. Like he does like a little like gum chew at the end of the lines. It's like, look up the whole. I never looked up to them. And then he starts like quivering his lip like he's mad angry.
He did.
And he's about to cry angry tears.
He is Denzel Dentures era. You know what I'm saying? He his bad man. I'm a black man, bad man. 50s Denzel era now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hove with the veneers.
He's courtside. He's courtside with the veneers. You know what I'm saying?
Hove with the veneers. Oh my God! God bless my teeth, and I hope they continue to stay healthy.
He's like your uncle that's a little more paid than your pops, but got a vasectomy and is out here on dating apps.
Oh my God. Yo, but all jokes aside, welcome to Smart Dumb Negus. All jokes aside, welcome to Smart Dumb Negus podcast. And we were gifted with a whole freestyle. And whatever you might be able to say about Jay-Z, his wordsmithing still stops the culture. It still makes us sit up and pay attention because he's so good at the craftsmanship, at the construction and composition of words, in the same way that I had to give respect or at least attention to Drake's ghostwritten verse that dropped the other day. Now I'm going to give the same kind of attention to Hove's really pointed verse that seemed to be aimed at many of his enemies, real or perceived. And what's really funny and that people are talking about is that he went from that interview and being like, yeah, beef, I don't know about beef, like it's played out, I don't think we should be. And then, then literally the next month he's just like, at everybody. Yeah. It was great. It was great.
That's for the behind the music. It's like that interview cut to him cut shitting on niggas.
Yes.
But you called it as well. Shout outs to Tef Po days ago, I feel like maybe even weeks ago, at least a week ago, was talking about Jay-Z is from battle culture. Jay-Z is gearing up. He's not going to let this slide. He's a technician of this type. He's a master of this type.
Yes.
And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And you called it out too when he started doing this run of interviews. It's like, why is Hove doing a press run and a rollout all of a sudden? This is going to build to some moments. Or maybe it's rigged like the NBA. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, first of all, shout out to my New York Knicks. You're scripted to win this year, so please follow the script. With Jay-Z, I think he's so press aware. I think that's the only way one can be in the position that he's in. Is he's really aware of his public perception, and that was the hint to me because he doesn't randomly do interviews. He doesn't say to himself, "Oh, I just feel like opening up to the public." He knows exactly what he wants to be when he appears publicly, and that informs how he appears and who even gets to interview him, right? So when he first hopped out with the GQ interview with Fraser Tharp, which I thought of as a friendly interview, like it wasn't going to be combative. It wasn't about clearing up a rumor or clearing up the record of his legacy. It was about him being on the offense, so to speak, and he so rarely is because he doesn't care to let people into his public life. But there's something about recent Jay-Z where more than just being in the public eye in a way that he wants to be, he seems to want to rectify the record no matter what. Like as soon as people start to question either his spot in the rap game, which I think he still very much cares about, as you can tell by that tightly composed freestyle verse, his position in the rap game, his position as someone wealthy, his position as someone credible, his position as an arbiter of black culture, whenever those things are being slandered or are in question, here comes Jay-Z. And you know what's really funny about him? We talked about this in the previous Jay-Z episode. He really is the boogeyman. Like he both raps like the boogeyman, and he jumps out when called. You know what I mean?
He is the sleep paralysis demon that content creators saying is.
Yes.
You know what I was going to ask you? It's funny you mentioned that he's the boogeyman, because I thought about this before we got on. I was going to ask you if Jay-Z is the hero or the villain. And the reason, or if that Jay-Z hasn't changed and it's just that we have. Because was he the hero before, when he was like, yeah, I sold drugs? Like, was he a hero then? Or was it a play on the fact that we did kind of deify the pimp, the drug dealer, the athlete, right? Allegedly, right? That's what our communities venerated. So we had these archetypes that we emulated in our art and as like tropes of success. And he was that. And now he's like evolving into like the kingpin, right? Denzel as the bad guy in the movie that's somehow charming, but we don't like that. Is it that we don't like bad guys no more? But it's funny because we're also in the age of the anti-hero, right? And we've been in that for a while now. Like even when you look at like popular comic book lore, we don't have these same type of dichotomies of like a clear hero and a clear villain.
Right.
We have now this anti-hero, these kind of like internally torn, or maybe we're torn internally on how to accept a figure like Jay-Z.
Yes. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I put it in this framework of like Marlo Stanfield from The Wire, or Walter White from Breaking Bad, or even when I think about Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. Like, honestly, the best characters are elements of both hero and villain. And oftentimes the protagonist and the antagonist are seeking the same thing. In the best modern works, in the best movies, books, poems, the antagonist and the protagonist are seeking the same thing, and that is the source of their conflict, and that is why we're intrigued with them, and that is why what Jay-Z has alternately played hero and villain depending on the audience who's consuming him. So I think when the audience is seeing him as too much of the hero, and I think we have this tendency in American culture to turn on people who are perceived as the hero or already at the top, that's when he turns villain. He says back to the audience, oh, you don't like me because of my success. And he deflects from the things that we may not actually like the actions. He deflects from that to say, oh, you don't like me because I'm successful. And that may be part of it too. I want to give it some nuance, but I think what he's ultimately doing is kind of like turning that coin depending on how the light refracts off of it to decide which one suits him better at that time. And I think right now, and for a while, he's seen himself as the benevolent hero and the benevolent billionaire. And so whenever he's criticized, he then points back to me, to the audience, you're making me the villain. And it's like, well, no, I'm just offering some critique, or I'm wondering what's behind these actions, which is, you know, I think that's the lens I have to view this freestyle through.
And this goes back to me saying Jay-Z is Batman. Jay-Z's Batman, dog. I'm the benevolent billionaire, but I'm gonna use my fortune to be above the law. I'm a vigilante. I'm beating niggas up. You know what I'm saying? I'll surveil niggas. Whatever. I got private backroom deals with authority.
Yeah. I stabbed Un and got away with it, which he won't actually ever let us forget.
No, because he brought that up at Un's expense in his freestyle, as like further counterweight to like, oh, just in case you got me twisted on I'm just a billionaire that don't. Yo, I'll remind the new generation, hey, here's some lyrics to dig into. Remember, I allegedly stabbed Lanson Rivera, or had him stabbed, or whatever, allegedly, and your man stabbed Un and made you take the blame. And your man said that made you take the blame. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and then he so deftly revises history, and he's like, I stabbed Dunn. Never forget that. I stabbed him. Oh man.
Yeah, that works. That works right now. That works right now because it goes back to what we keep getting to about this culture of amnesia. And I don't know if I'm upset at people fighting to assure their legacy. I watched Cameron's response to Melissa Ford just to brush that up on my entertainment. And he mentioned in a tangent about you're lucky if your legacy has 40 years. You know, he was talking to Mace about that. Mace's son didn't know. Mace's son came to Mace one day like, yo, oh, you know who y'all didn't, son? No, you know who, like, yo, this rapper that could do it all that you be talking about, Dad? Biggie. Mace's son didn't know Mace was friends with Biggie. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Cameron's son couldn't imagine that Will Smith was a rapper and that Ice Cube was a rapper. He was in shock to his father, Cameron, like, yo, they was rappers? And he was like, yeah. Like, mad at these. Wait till he finds out Mahershala Ali. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you
or
know.
even Common. Common.
Common's
not known.
Man, what's my guy from 40-Year-Old Virgin? The black dude from 40-Year-Old Virgin. The comedian.
Oh, Romany Malco.
He started out as a rapper. He was a rapper.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
I didn't even know that about his history.
Yeah, he was a rapper, dog. He was in a group too, and they had a deal. I feel like he had videos out and everything.
So I mean, let's ground this a little bit in where Hov fits in what I think is like a rhetorical tradition. I think he's in a black rhetorical tradition. I think he's obviously a great musician, but I think moments like these, like the freestyle at the Roots Picnic, I think that actually cements him as more of a rhetorical figure than just a musician or just an artist. I think he is someone who moves culture in that way, where rhetoric is one of his instruments and it does not require music, right? So in that, this is going to be a question that I pose to you. In this Roots Picnic freestyle, what do you, especially as a really great master lyricist yourself, what do you see as Hov trying to establish with the audience or with the public record about him? What's he still trying to prove?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have the answer for that. And I can acknowledge that we're still in the wave of reacting. All of us. No matter how much of it, right? It just happened. What I do think, though, is it's part of this ongoing observation of our icons, celebrities, and legends hit either second acts or the twilight of their career. We're just watching it unfold. And that's why it's funny. I made that comment about him being a Guyanese, but yo, this is super Calypsonian of him. Like, he's really like a Calypsonian right now. You know, he's got he's doing a cappella limerick style performance that the source point and the inspiration are about the climate of the times. And that's key to Calypso music, right? Like, you speak about the politics of the day and you do it encoded in the lyricism, you do it encoded in entendre to make commentary on what's happening right now, and then establish yourself at the best of being able to do that. Like, I'm not trying to take away the format from hip hop and rap. I'm just saying it's just interesting, and I think maybe why that signals that to me is his age. In Calypso music, you've gotten to see your elders still hold court in that way, and it doesn't seem out of place. And hip hop is just now hitting the space to do that. And what's interesting about that is that Harry Belafonte, Jay-Z is in line to become that. Even though he had words and exchanges with Harry Belafonte was not singing reggae music. He was singing Calypso music when he came out. Comes to Taliman, those are Calypso songs. And that's not native to Jamaica, but was iconic in the Caribbean, in the Caribbean.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's regional music, English-speaking Caribbean. And he went from Calypsonian to actor, right, to public figure and civil rights activist and more, right? And Jay-Z is showing his trajectory is more than rap, but at the same time, my legacy in rap is certified as a master. I am going to be one of the ones you study in the tenement of this shit. And I'm still here. And let me remind you that in case the mediums and the archives have changed, I'm going to reset that real quick. And I'm going to return to form. People talk about return to form. That was thrown around in the critique of Kanye's album. But Jay-Z is showing return to form in this discourse. The fact that we care to get into not just the fact that he made the statement, but how he's making it, the execution, the lyricism, the format, that's part of what he's resetting and reestablishing in the firmament of it all.
I mean, can we talk a little bit then about the execution? So I'm going to take a moment to pull it up on screen just so that we can actually make some key highlights of what he is executing. Because I think one of the things that's really enjoyable about doing this pod is that we both come from a hip hop and a rap tradition. But then I also get to explore how Jay-Z works from a literary standpoint, and you are able to explore how he works poetics and how he works the rap forms and traditions. So I'm gonna pull it up. I have it on screen, but I'm gonna put it on my screen and frame so that you can play by play. You should still be able to hear my audio. But just let me know if you don't, or if there are any issues with it. If you can play from your side.
Had he's turning 100, if she would have transitioned before I cleared my name, I would have hunted them. Every one of them playing these silly games. That 1-800 ambulance chaser would have wished one came, but 9/11 is a joke. Public enemy #1, I've been ranked. The rock's not crumbling. The leprechauns have magically run out of pranks. You son of a... Yo, watch out.
Wait, okay. That's great. Actually, that's better. That's even better. That's better than us trying to play the audio. So I want to stop right there where you are, because that's the Tory Lanez diss, where he's basically saying, hey, Tory Lanez, anyone who's had beef with Roc Nation, or anyone who implicated Roc Nation in altering the trial of Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, he seems to be going at them. So Tory Lanez's dad, who basically accused Roc Nation of the tampering, which I know on good account from several credible journalists, there was a lot of tampering going on in that trial. There was a lot of information filtering going on in that trial. And that's not to say that the trial results didn't happen as they should have. It's more to say that Jay-Z is really good at using public perception to his advantage, and public perception to the advantage of any artist that he represents, like Megan Thee Stallion, who was in a pretty messy public trial. So that's the first part. And it also reestablishes, I think, Jay-Z as this voice of reason. I think he always is the voice of reason. He's used that phrase in his lyrics. He uses that ethos, like reasonable doubt. He's always trying to convey himself as the most reasonable one in the room, right? That he's only driven by reason. But I do think, and I would purport, that Jay-Z operates just as much out of emotions like anger and envy and offense as anything. And in this case, he's kind of clearing up a record that I didn't know needed to be cleared, but he seems really intent on, very first thing, calling out the lawyer who drummed up a civil suit against him without great evidence, and calling out Tory Lanez and Tory Lanez's father for suggesting that Roc Nation may have tampered with information in that Megan trial. So that's that first set of bars. Like, it seems like he's like, let me set the record straight. Let me set the premise right now. These niggas is clowns, and they're going to say things that are not credible, which is
setting
interesting.
The record straight. Yeah, I mean, that's probably par for the course in any, that's your battle defense, right? But also, it's a stance and a perspective that he's taken before. Like, let me set the record straight. I'm giving you insight to what you may not have known. Where he talked, it's kind of how we talked about before about his quote unquote private altruism, right? But then later becomes public. the defense of Meek Mill, stuff like that. He's giving you this look into what normally is hidden, right? Because we think Jay-Z has access, and he's like, nah, but here's what's really going on in these rooms.
Okay, could you pick up from where you left off too, and then keep going with the bars?
Oh, being silly like that because I wasn't recording the first time.
Like, dude, do any of it. Just drop it wherever you want to the bars.
The rock's not crumbling. The leprechauns have magically run out of pranks. Your son on the federal jail line, mumbling something about having too much in his drink. You know how dumb that is? Another one fumble his, wonder how I get the blame. Niggas' teeth is fumbling out of their mouth, and somehow I'm the one who done it. There's a murder mystery game.
This is masterful stuff. Both your delivery and his chock full of references there. So he's got the Tory Lanez and Father diss. He's got the Dame Dash diss where he's saying, hey, this guy's teeth literally fell out of his mouth and he's still making this career off of a grievance with me or the betrayal that happened there or perceived betrayal. But also, I think what we just established, which is that he makes hyperbolic the way people blame him for things as if he is to be blamed for everything, right? Like he's supposed to be blamed for everything. And it's like, no, I don't think people are blaming you for everything. They're blaming you for the things that you did. I do understand and love the Dame Dash point because I think Dame Dash has gone like a bridge too far in so many ways.
So funny? This is so on brand because his job is not to convince you. His job is to give you a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's all he has to do. The burden of proof.
Yes,
that's all he has to do, yo. He's like, nah, maybe.
Jay-Z is.
He's like, yo, maybe that, but also, word. And it's funny because it's not that he gets all the blame, but it shows you how aware he is of all the Illuminati conspiracy. Jay-Z's a capitalist, and that. He's like, oh, that's what they saying about me now? And that shows, to your point, yes, you're a human being and people talking about you bothers you and you want to respond to the shit they be saying and you find artful ways to be either an artful dodger or an artful bully.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes. An artful conspirator. Jay-Z is Batman and also Jay-Z is Alan Dershowitz. Jay-Z he's a litigator. He's Alan Dershowitz of his own reputation. I am so invested in why he wants to clear the record because it seems as if whatever he has this idea of how he'll be perceived in the next year, he's really defensive about it. Like, I don't know when being on the defense like he has been. So, for instance, he published this really emphatic letter once he beat that case that Tony Busby drummed up against him. And it was one of the more angry Jay-Z letters I've ever heard. It was like, and lawyers, they'll tell you this too. Like, whenever they are going up for a client and they're putting together that kind of letter, they use a lot of adverbs like, it's like the spuriously claimed, like the flagrantly inaccurate. Like they'll use all the adverbs to kind of like fluff up the words,
bolster.
And they really always want to bolster that claim. And he seems to be doing a lot of that lately, which at least in my mind raises some question marks because I wonder what you're on the defense against. When you've got these two tour dates coming up. He's got the Yankee Stadium sold out. He's obviously headlining the Roots Picnic. He can still create a viral moment. He obviously had the viral moment with the interview. And so one wonders, what is the thing that he has felt so
what it is.
Trenchant about defending? What?
Because he's so attentive to the internet and what we think about him. He knows that some of us are onto the truth, and that he's a time traveler that's been here multiple times, including in the 1930s, just like what's shown in his photos. And that's why he talks like that.
The picture?
Yeah, that picture of him in the 1930s is also why he talks like that, and why he uses that slang, and why he thinks he's Meyer Lansky.
Yeah, see?
And and because of that, he also saw Sloan Bella's prediction about him. So he's trying to create an alternate timeline where he wins.
Yeah. That's funny. And you know what's funny is that it comes for every famous black man. So there's a great narrative trope that he can play into that has come for black male celebrities, no matter what the level of their offense, no matter what the level of their violation.
He was trying to buy NBC theory.
He was trying to buy NBC, right?
Then he was trying to buy NBC defense. He was trying to buy NBC defense. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, okay. I think the lines that most accurately portray that is when he said, and this is also when his lip quivers the most, is when he says, "You're gonna have to produce a B. You're gonna need a B to say my name, right?" Like,
oh yeah.
So
yeah,
it was that double entendre.
It's gonna cost you a B to even say my name. And he did that shit. He did that shit.
Say my name. Say my name.
You had to cash cow and thunk it. When will you pump test? I'm the one who strummed the pain. Yo, this thing's so hard. Yo, he's still in pain. He's in pain as a billionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm the one who strummed the pain.
He's in a lot of pain.
That hill you can die on is way too much flack that comes with those planes. So, but I'm not gonna lie. At that part of the freestyle, I was like, Jay's a master.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I was like, there's layers to what he's doing here that some of these internet reactions are gonna. I'm like, yo, Roberta Flack not too long past, like the Lauryn Hill, like the whole, and then strumming my pain with his finger. You know what I'm saying?
With his fingers.
So
yes.
Yo, the way, man. Oh man, so yeah, and then he's like, "I'm killing him softly."
What's he referencing? What's he referencing?
He's referencing Lauryn Hill, right?
Yes.
But he's referencing Lauryn Hill, who's covering Roberta Flack. Roberta Flack's killing him softly, strumming my pain with his finger. You know what I'm saying? And then he used that as an overall metaphor. I'm killing him softly. What's understood don't need to be explained. Right, so like me even explaining that he put a
exactly
he put a kill switch on that bar, like he put a kill switch on that bar for me decoding it, which is like
and it's another thing he's so good at. It's so good. He's good at condescending you as he's laying out how good he is. It's terrific. I mean, when I thought about that too, I think one of the things that Jay-Z's music compels you to do. And I'm working on this piece about how Drake is content, Jay-Z is art. Is that art, unlike content, actually invites transformation. Shout out to one of my amazing writer colleagues who articulated it that way, Jason Smith. Art invites transformation or the conditions for it. Content does not invite or require rediscovery or research or revisiting. Art requires it. Art requires that you go back to it, right? And so by layering in the way that he does, and in the way that sometimes novice listeners or novice admirers of a person like Drake, they'll get one layer deep, right? They'll get 1 to 2 layers deep and be like, oh, did you see that he did that one layer? That's such a crazy layer that he did. Whereas Jay-Z is going to give you a layer that is pure meaning, like it's pure, literal, non-fictional meaning. Like, here's how it maps to my life and my reality. And he's giving you multiple symbolic layers. So he's going to give you a symbolic layer about strumming my pain. Like, here's what these rumors are doing to me. They're killing me softly, right? So I'm going to talk about how the bars in that specific song reference pain, reference my specific pain, reference the pain of an artist, reference the pain of love. he gives you multiple angles and multiple invitations to transform as you think, to transform the way you think. And that's something that can't be questioned. And that's why I love Jay-Z as a writer, because as a writer, you can only do these things intentionally. You can't luck up on that level of metaphor.
Yeah, it's a masterful display. And then on top of that, he then does a demonstration through catalog. And I thought what was interesting about that demonstration is it's not that an artist, let's say that's like to your argument, Drake doesn't have a valuable catalog. Of course he does. He has many hit records, but it goes back to these standards of metric and which one, I guess, which legacy are you trying to honor? What kind of legacy gets honored?
Yeah.
And I don't think contextually people feel happy to participate in recognizing Drake's trumping of Michael Jackson's records. I think they look at it as like, you're the home run champion with an asterisk. I think they look at it like
exactly.
that. Like,
you
beat the record. Yeah, you beat the record, but you use Balco. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's right. So my point in that is, yes, you have a catalog, but with Jay-Z, what he displayed with his catalog and who he's bringing on stage, it's like across eras, across generations having impact. And you're seeing people get in touch with moments they had that were like benchmark in their life and the music soundtracking the time more than just their good time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, the artists I want to bring into the frame to demonstrate the point won't seem obvious at first in terms of how their mastery applies here, but I think if you follow me, it goes through. So Toni Morrison she's the mother, I think, of modern Black literature, right? I think she picked stories that were grounded in some really dense metaphors, and she reached mainstream success with those stories, even though it wasn't like a mainstream or popular amount of recognition or sensibility that gets you through her books. You need to read Morrison's books 3, 4, and 5 times to understand meanings of even single lines. So I think about The Bluest Eye and Beloved. Those are my 2 favorite Toni Morrison books, right? And I think there are modern novelists who are maybe in Toni Morrison's tradition of being prolific, but they don't necessarily meet her standard of depth and meaning. And I think that's where Jay-Z holds the trump card, no pun intended, is that he is able to establish a density of meaning that I don't think Drake ever has, and he can always pull it. He can always pull Drake's card in that way, and I think that is at least one, annoying as fuck to Drake, because he's always doing these stats. He's always like, hey, by the stats, by the metrics, you can see I'm the number one, I'm the crown holder, by this or that measure of Billboard charts, etc. But what does Jay say? He said, wrong chart, champ. It's like, you can't chart this. You can't measure the thing that I'm doing by your measures. And it's one of the reasons I really hate how hip hop has been kind of turned into this like sports analogy where it's just about what are your total points or what are your total number one records, where the metric of Morrison's meaning is the better metric, I think, for something like hip hop, where there's symbol, there's illusion, there's legacy, there's black diasporic oral tradition. Like, those are things that Jay-Z is drawing on, both intentionally and sometimes just by having a higher standard. Like, he's drawing in all those tools that many artists aren't even aware that we have. And that's where I think he's apart from Drake. I think they play in the same arena for sure. I think there are a lot of things that are similar about them and about their goals, but I think he's drawing from a set of tools that show Drake is still the student and he's actually a master.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a punch versus the 1-inch punch. Like, Jay-Z's out here one inch punching now. He's 1-inch punching. And, they've exchanged subliminal jabs in the past. what is it, Drake's Pound Cake, where he makes reference to Jay-Z or the Jay-Z brunch or something like that. But again, with Drake, it tends to be more this, you know, it's a retort. It's not something that has any meaning other than, oh, like, I feel a way about what you said about me, or like, you know, it's that type of a thing more than it is about, yo, I'm gonna give this a perspective to show how I like why you don't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why, okay, I'm gonna send you a clip in your text message, and you're gonna put this in the episode, hopefully. There's this, I just learned about this brother today. His name is A.D. Carson. Have you heard of him? He's a professor at the University of Virginia. A.D. Carson, right? He's a professor at the University of Virginia who specifically calls himself a rapper. And he doesn't go by the nomenclature like poet or writer or professor of hip hop. He's like, I do teach hip hop, but I am a rapper. And he's really specific about why he calls himself that. And I'm going to send you the clip about why A.D. Carson calls himself a rapper. And I'm also going to play it for you.
Okay.
And I think it speaks to some of the differences between someone like Jay-Z and someone like Drake. I found it really, really, a doctor who I know, a doctor of rhetoric, put me onto this today. And I think Black rhetorical tradition is really important. And unfortunately, MCs many times don't see themselves in a Black rhetorical tradition when they are using the same tools and standards and conventions. And that can be, like, as we talked about on this pod before, that can be like actually a tragic oversight, right? Like making our kinds of art and not giving yourself the advantage of a history and the conventions. All right, I'm playing it right now, okay?
Yeah.
No, say what you were gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
Oh no, it just makes me think of, shout outs to Lupe, man, and Sosa, the Society of Spoken Art, and creating guilds that help identify these tools, these different examples of literary tools, and how we use them in hip hop and rap, and identifying them so that we can use them more intentionally. It just makes me think of those efforts. Of course, then it gets into the debate of who are we codifying it for, but which is a whole separate conversation. But I think it is key what you're talking about, like recognizing that, because it helps us identify why something like this Jay-Z moment is masterful in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is A.D. Carson talking about why he calls himself a rapper and not anything else.
When police fired 55 shots at 20-year-old Willie McCoy's car in that Vallejo, California Taco Bell parking lot, February 9th, 2019. While he was asleep in it, everything I read about his death described a rapper killed by police. Nothing I read about his death used poetry to describe him. The same goes for 38-year-old Eric Reason, killed in the same town this past Sunday by an off-duty police officer in a Valero gas station parking lot. The headline: off-duty Richmond officer shoots and kills rapper in Vallejo. I can't help but suspect the word rapper is doing a peculiar kind of work in the descriptions of the deaths of Willie McCoy and Eric Reason and so many other living rappers who will never be described by poetry or as poets.
My first reflection on that brilliant speech by A.D. Carson is about the young woman who was killed in Minneapolis, Renee Good, and how they called her a poet, right? And how that that title, that signification was meant to give her, I think, depth, humanity, and I think generosity as a person, as a human. Whereas, and you've talked about this in your lyrics too, when they call you a rapper, right, especially in your death, it's meant to do something entirely different, right? And what I wonder from you, and if you could talk about it a little bit, is why why it's important to call what Jay-Z does rap in recognizing its masterful qualities.
That's loaded. There's so much in that. One, just for context, and shout outs to that brother, AD
Carson, yeah.
AD Carson. Because I also don't wince. If someone asks me what I am, I say I'm a rapper. I think early on, maybe when I was first starting out, you know, I'm a recording artist, or, you know, you start saying these other things because you recognize, you know, your shorty tells her homegirl she's dating a rapper. They're like, red flag, girl, red flag. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now, as we watch Jay-Z in his 50s, Slick Rick dropped his album last summer at 61 years old. Kool Keith dropped his album last year at 60 years old. You know, they're rappers.
Yeah.
They are rappers, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're getting to see this evolution. And
yes.
We don't ask a sculptor, hey, you still sculpting? You still sculpting, man? You you're still painting? You're still writing? But we're like, oh, you still rapping? We do it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Billy Woods is having this amazing run of records, like in a second act of his career. And it's based off of the writing. It is so prolific.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Lupe Fiasco's out here dropping records that are still really important, and also helping the society understand rap music. You know, shout outs to Lupe Fiasco IT, because we had a conversation about codifying and why it was important. And he talked about, I want hip hop to be here in 100 years.
Yeah.
And that opened up it opened up a door that I hadn't looked toward. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was important. When he said that, it gave me a fresh perspective, whether I agree with all the mechanisms on how to preserve it, on why it's important to be preserved more than just content, more than just this particular type of approach. And that's part of the why the Jay-Z demonstrates. Because, you know, it's funny, man. You talk about something like this, and ironically enough, you see people that were like Jay-Z fans in a certain older age group like, yo, get off this nigga dick, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all niggas is gay. Y'all niggas gossiping. Y'all talking about this nigga Jay-Z living. Y'all niggas is gossiping. I'm like, yo, y'all are the core of the manosphere. Y'all are the core of the old head, young head argument. Clearly, y'all niggas feel away. Jay-Z's on stage. Niggas feel away. Y'all want y'all stories told. Black men want their stories told. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get it, man. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But you also, it's women want to be heard too. So do the youth. Right? It can't just be about you and your thing and this. We're seeing opportunities for growth points in hip hop, and that's part of the presentation.
Yeah, that's why I'm really glad that we looked at that AD Carson clip, because it got me thinking about how rap is one of those unique forms, one of those unique art forms that addresses the deficits of expression that Black men are often facing. So I think in the performance of masculinity that we're all kind of like attached to, we all get up in arms about, that you just talked about a little bit as well. I think what I perceive is a deficit of expression. What I perceive is a sometimes debilitation of emotional range that all men under patriarchy suffer from. And when we're debilitated, when we're incapacitated from expressing our emotional range, when we're only given rap beef and anger and, you know, outbursts and backlash to traffic in, we need art forms that are going to aggressively challenge the standards and give us more for our range of emotions. And I think rap has done that. It's why I get so disappointed in Drake and Jay-Z, because and especially with Jay-Z being a master of the form, I think he has so many more emotions that he can tap into based on his facility with words that he often doesn't, because he's still guarded, because he's a man. And I think Drake also, on a similar arc, could have been someone who expanded the range of men's like emotional vocabulary and decided instead to shrink it to be more perceived as manly. And that's why I think this battle between them, this often passive aggressive battle between them, is ironic, because you can see two men really struggling to accept each other, to compete with each other, to admire each other without the tools to do so. They don't have the actual emotional and linguistic tools to do so, or at least they don't have those in the same portions. Like, they have great linguistic tools and limited emotional tools. And so you have these guys who are both ostensibly very successful, right? Like, let's not undermine that point. They're very successful. They're great at what they do. They're great artists. But instead of being like, hey, man, I admire what you do, like, you know, I kind of like, I was peeping that. That was cool. That was cool what you did. Instead of that, they've got a decade worth of like, are you taking shots at me? Like, are you really against me? Like, don't you want to be me? And like, they can't even accept that there's admiration there.
Competition is inherent in a lot of hip hop.
Yes. And you know what? It's inherent in a lot of sports, because we talked about the sports analogy, and a lot of times in sports, those very competitive athletes can't admire each other until they're out of the game, right? Until they've retired. But rap is one of those unique kind of games where you could be in it your whole life. You know, like, we're seeing that you could be in it your whole life. You could be trading, you could be volleying these subliminals back and forth for years and years. And Nas and Jay-Z, so in another chapter of Jay-Z's life, they were able to laugh about it and be like, oh, that was silly, right? Like, let's release the tension that exists here between us as different artists or different viewpoints by just laughing at it and saying there's something more here.
Funny? Even that, they still had to rap into this like conglomerate mafioso, like,
right.
We the black Republicans. We the niggas was black Republicans, you know what I'm saying?
We get rich together.
That's the only way. Yeah. We had to merge. It's a fucking merger. It's like it's not like niggas actually squash. It's a fucking business merger or whatever. You know, it's like Apple and IBM is just not, we dead in it. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what?
Like, nah.
It would have been much harder, to that same end. It would have been much harder for Jay-Z to be like, damn, I was really jealous of you. It would have been really hard for him to say that.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've seen any facet of American culture where men are doing that.
No, absolutely not. Which is like a shame, because I think if there was a pathway for competitors, like I think athletes have done that in a certain way. I don't know if they've done it all, but I mean, I think a lot about
being a good sport. You want people to be a good sport when they're saying I'm the best.
I mean, I think about Magic and Isaiah, because we're talking about black men here, right? And Magic and Isaiah, there were some nasty things they said about each other, and it's why Isaiah Thomas didn't get on the Dream Team, and it's why Magic Johnson was really vitriolically opposed to Isaiah Thomas. The kinds of things they were saying about each other to other people were nasty. They were unverifiable. They were nasty things. It was ad hominem attack.
Cat Williams and Kevin Hart. Maybe this is what it speaks to more than anything. And you made this point in a conversation we had offline about the only group that has a monetized peddling and harming each other is black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And even if we're not the ones to directly profit off of it, there's no you know, Asian women versus Asian men wars going on Twitter. You know, there's not whole channels dedicated to why Asian men are not whatever by an Asian woman, like the channel you showed me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which I'm wondering, I'm like, that's probably some guy in India. Like at this point, I'm like, that's a guy in India. You know what I mean?
It's gotta be
even
Bangladeshi guy.
Even if it is a guy in Singapore doing it, it just speaks to the fact that like, oh, that's the come up. Like that's the weed I know I can sell. It sells itself. That's the weed. It sells itself. You know what I mean? And you know, that's also what's interesting about Jay-Z being like, yeah, I'm past that in the interview, right? And it being like, oh yeah, battle culture, right? But don't take shots at me though. In case you forgot, you know, his Roy Jones Jr. moment. Y'all must have forgot. You know, this nigga's Roy Jones Jr. right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I really admire it. I admire us being able to talk about it too, because a lot of times in my life, what's so fascinating to me, and again, it can be disappointing, is I mostly talk about these kinds of things with women, especially women artists. Like they understand some of the masculine tension that exists in rap and where it comes from and how it gets avoided or kind of talked around. But when I talk to a woman about it, they very clearly and quickly understand, just like they would understand a feud between, you know, Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight, right? Like they understand, like there's divas in our stuff too. It's like when Drake and Jay-Z did the thing, and when Drake had that freestyle, I texted my girlfriend like, the girls are fighting. Like, you know, I put like the girls. I was like, the girls are fighting.
Because niggas is being petty. Because niggas is being petty.
Exactly.
That's what's funny about it. It's the same as in battle culture, right? Like I'm gonna I'm gonna snoop around and find out an embarrassing piece of information about you, and then at the battle in front of everybody, I'm gonna pull your pants down or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fucking pull out my trump card about how, like, you know, you have one nut or whatever the fuck it is to make you feel fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And that becomes the moment now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, this artist is gay. It's like, I kind of been knew that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's this thing.
Dump a bucket of ice water on your head.
Yeah, sensitive information. What you can feel is sensitive information about somebody, and now we're gonna pull that out.
Yeah, and it's a terrific place to be in, to have a podcast and an art form where we can conversationally like work our way through that and see, there's levels to this. So Jay-Z, it's so ironic and crazy that Meek Mill created that line, like there's levels to this, and he's not even on the highest level. Just like him as like a pawn in the game being like, yo, there's levels to this. It just applies in so many ways that I find ironic. But with Jay-Z and with his freestyle here, I think the thing that I most admire and respect about the effect that he has on our culture, both on hip hop culture and the culture of how black men speak to each other, is he forces us to deal with some of these emergent issues. Like even when he put out his like big apology album, he forces men who are generally like in the center to say, oh, what do I have to actually like come clean about? Like he's on some confessional shit.
You know, maniac. Yo. You know, mate, that I'm telling you,
that's Jay-Z, a great line.
Ah, man. Watch how say maniac. When he in my presence, niggas shrink. Yo, and also, that transition, niggas shrink. I need a new therapist, right? A shrink is man, dude. Jay,
I don't know if anyone could do it. I don't know if anyone could do it like he does it. I think the skill level may be in a bunch of artists that we know and artists that we are still discovering. But I don't know if they could do it like he does it, given his level of power and stature. A lot of times when people have power and stature, we see that they become complacent. And he seems like, as an artist, he's not complacent at all. He's not complacent about upping the level of his skill or keeping his skill sharp. And that's what will forever interest me about Jay-Z and how he approaches the art form.
Yo, he's the soca monarch, yo. You know what I'm saying? That nigga king. He king of the Calypso tent type nigga right now. We'll see. You know, one thing that is interesting, I don't recall Harry Belafonte making musical gestures of this type in his 50s. Right? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wasn't making public musical gestures like this in his 50s. And even though he started out as a musician, right? None of these people who kind of graduated into these other realms of power that started out as musicians, even Malachi Z. York, right? All of these people were musicians or in the music industry. I don't recall any of them being like, you know what, I'm gonna bust out a performance in my 50s. Other than other than Prince. And Michael Jackson was 50 years old at the beginning of getting that tour ready for This Is It, right? So that is an interesting statement. If we're going to talk about legacies and Michael Jackson and shit like that, let's see what Drake is doing when he's 50-something years old and how we receive that.
That's a great point. I mean, when you make things to play on black pathologies and black stereotypes and the trope of being forever young, it makes it really increasingly difficult to age in your art. And I think even for the wave of black rappers who are now podcasters, they're orators. They're making certain transitions between mediums in order to take this oratory gem and transfer it. And I think Jay-Z's he's not a YouTuber, right? Like he's not going to transition it in that way. But I would argue that something like the a cappella verse and being able to deliver it in the way that he does, a memorized a cappella freestyle, as in it is free of a song, to be able to deliver it, it is the kind of tool that is in the rap toolkit that is the most easily transferable as media transforms. And I think what he did was showed us that, because he's at a show, right? He's there to perform his songs. Of course, his songs are why we know him, and it's what makes him a musical master. But actually, he's both a musical master and a rhetorical master, because he's saying, actually, the rhetoric here, it still applies when you're watching it in 9:16 3-minute videos on all your phone screens, because this is the most pliable art form, and it comes from hip hop, and you didn't even know it could apply this way until I started doing these kinds of things.
And to your original point, it doesn't come from hip hop, right? It's in the lineage of oral tradition and oral performance, but this version of it and why it's so key in maintaining, I just think it's super interesting.
I encourage everybody to tap in with the Smart Dumb Negus podcast. We're going to have all kinds of content like this coming to you very directly, especially in response to culture, and that makes culture itself. So tap in with Cav at the Cavalier YouTube channel, and holla at me on my Substack, Big Black Commentary, where I'll be writing about Jay-Z. I've also written about Jay-Z before and about Drake before, so you can get more insight into what we think on these topics.
Peace.
Flourish, nigga. Flourish, nigga. Flourish.